Hey guys, welcome to Motor Rides. My name is Amit and this is the new Citroen Basalt, India's first SUV coupe, mainstream SUV coupe according to Citroen. Of course, the new Curve is also coming, but that's going to be electric to start off. And anyway, this is here first, so they have the right to lay claim on being the first mainstream SUV coupe in India. There are a lot of things which are really interesting about this car and I'm going to let you know all about it. So stay till the end because as Citroen says, they make cars for everyone like no one, and this indeed is a car which is going to offer a lot of value for money, a lot of new features and a really different kind of an offering in a market which is cluttered with options. So stay tuned and you'll get to know something really interesting about this amazing car. So to start off, let's talk about the dimensions of this car and to compare it with its own platform, the C3 Aircross on which it's based. The wheelbase here is about 20 mm shorter at 2651 mm, but the length by itself is more, and it's more by quite some margin. It's more by 29 mm. The width again is less by about 31 mm and the height again is less by over 70 mm. To put things in perspective, this is actually longer than the Creta. The wheelbase here is higher by 41 mm and the length is higher by 22 mm. The width is slightly less and so is the height, but overall if you talk about the cabin space, this should have more cabin space and more boot than the Creta, as it has 470 liters of boot as opposed to 433 liters on the Creta. Now the face here also gets some new elements, and the newness comes with this protrusion here, and you have these AC vent like slots. And while I like the overall design, what I don't quite like is that the grille is peeping from the inside, and this part could probably have been a little bit better covered so that the grille was not visible. I do like these nice touches, this piano black, this chrome insert, again this chrome insert here, the piano black here, this grey insert here, and overall, since this is a coupe SUV, this protrusion gives it a very bold look. It gets these twin chevrons in piano black with these chrome extensions, and they lead into these DRLs, and it also gets this new LED projector headlamp which is replacing the older units, not just on this car but on the C3 Aircross and the C3 as well. And this unit, which is by the way inspired by GoPro cameras, has taken place here on the entire C3 as well as the Basalt range. It also comes with this halogen fog lamp, and it's a very good thing because a lot of cars these days have a fog lamp missing. Let's also pop open the bonnet and see what the engine looks like. We'll also get to see the amount of insulation that we have here, and once you pop open the bonnet, you'll see that there's a lot of insulation here. And this here is the 1.2 liter turbo unit with 115 PS of power, and since this is the 6-speed automatic, you have 205 Newton meters of torque. If you go for the manual 6-speed version of the turbo, you will get 115 PS of power and 190 Newton meters of torque. And you also have a naturally aspirated 3-cylinder engine, same 1.2, but the power there is 82 PS and the torque is 115 Newton meters. Now talking about the fuel efficiencies on this car, the NA gives you 18 kmpl, the turbo manual gives you 19 kmpl, and the turbo automatic gives you 18.7 kmpl. As you can see, you don't have any front parking sensors or you don't have any 360-degree camera units. However, once you move towards the side, you'll realize that the wheels here are slightly smaller than the C3 Aircross. They are 16 inches bigger than the C3, which has 15. The C3 Aircross has 17, this has 16. I like the styling on the alloys. They are machine cut and they look quite stunning. The wheel arches here are rounded off on the inside and squared off on the outside. The front fender is quite muscular. The ground clearance here is 180 mm, and now it also gets these folding ORVMs with turn indicators. The wipers here are not automatic, the lights are also not automatic. So those are some of the cost cutting measures. Also, cost cutting measures come in the form of these door handles, which are not like proper handles, they are like pull up handles. You don't have a sunroof here, although you do have a shark fin antenna, and as you can see here, the roof is black. So this is the two-tone color. You have 5 colors in all. We're going to show you all the colors by the end of this review. The B pillar is done in black, and as you can see, the roof line just swoops down. That makes it a coupe SUV. And then the greenhouse merges into this really nice element here, which has this titanium highlight as well. Now if you go for the white color, you'll have this highlight in red, and come back to the front again, because the same highlight can be seen here as well in the same color as you saw it there. Now another great thing about this car is that it comes with these claddings and this highlight here, and this cladding will protect the door if you are parking too close to another car or next to a wall. And you also have this thick cladding here, although the door does not run all the way over the running board, which means that when you're getting out of the car, there is a chance of your clothes getting soiled. The wheelbase is enormous, and that should ideally lend this car with a lot of legroom. We'll see that very soon. It gets disc brakes at the front and drums at the rear. And if you look at the lighting, all of it at the rear is bulbs. It doesn't have any LED lighting at the rear, unlike the front, which has some LED elements. You have twin chevron logo here, and this is a notchback in essence, which means that it doesn't open like a trunk. It opens like a hatch all the way from the roof. So the hinge is on the roof, which allows for a very big opening for you to put stuff inside, and it gets a massive 470 liters of boot space. And as you can see, we have tried to load it up with a lot of suitcases, and if you're going out with your family for a long holiday, it should not be a problem at all. The illumination sits right here, and the spare is going to be seen underneath here. It's not an alloy, and it's also not the biggest of the sizes. The rear view camera sits right here, and you have these 2 sensors. You don't have 4, but they work rather well. And just like the front, you have a combination of grey and black on the bumper. Let's have a look at the lighting as well. I'll just turn the car on for you to have a look at the lighting. So as you can see, the lighting is all bulbs, and you also have this very interesting pattern here. The tail lamps extend into the side of the car, and it really gives it a very muscular, very nice and very brawny kind of a look. Overall, the stance of this car is such, when you look at it from this angle in profile, it looks like a blend of a sedan and an SUV, and that's not by accident. It's by design, because Citroen had some clinics, and the feedback was that people were inclined towards both sedans as well as SUVs, and this is like the best of both worlds. So this is a very clever piece of design, and it gives you the generous boot of a sedan while also giving you a very sturdy styling that you associate with SUVs. What do you think of the stance and the styling of this car? Do let us know in the comment section. I'm pretty sure that the views would be varied, but we would definitely like to know as to what you think about this car's styling, since it's so different. Time now to get inside the car, and let's first have a look at this new key, which is this jackknife flip out kind of a unit. You don't have proximity sensors here, so you'll have to use the key to enter the car. As I mentioned, the ORVMs are now auto folding, which is a new inclusion on the C3 Aircross as well. And on the door panel, you have window buttons, which are surprisingly all one touch auto down, not just up front but at the rear as well. This material here is soft to touch. You have 1 liter water bottle holder here, some space to spare. This material is hard, but this material is soft, and you also have piano black finish here. Overall, the finish is very neat, and the panels have been put together very nicely. For a car which is supposed to be great value for money, I really like how the interior looks as well. The steering wheel, the instrument console, and the infotainment unit all are very familiar, and as you can see here, this is a very neat 10.25-inch unit. It comes with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and the rear view camera is also quite a functional unit. It probably could have had better resolution, but it does the job rather decently. It also comes with connected car tech and all the functions that you associate with modern cars, where you can use an app to control many functions, are present on this car as well. Now, the seats really need a special mention. The foam quality is really good for a car which is supposed to be value for money. It's really firm, very, very comfortable. The thigh support is very good, and the overall feeling that you get once you are sat inside the seat is that of a very European, very premium kind of a car. I like the quality of the headliner material also. Also, this material on the dashboard has been changed now, including the C3 Aircross. It's more high quality and it's slightly softer to touch. This 7-inch instrument console comes with quite a few modes to have a look at, and as you can see here, you can change what you are having a look at. It's all digital, so you can either have it minimally or you can have the tacho as well. And the fuel efficiency figures that you're getting here are not representative of the true fuel efficiency, because this car has been idling here for a very long time. Now, apart from that, the AC here now is automatic and it's really tropicalized. According to Citroen, it's best in class, and as you can see, the lowest reading here is 14, so it can go all the way down to 14 degrees Celsius, which is a lot less than the 16 or the 17 that you'll get on regulation cars. So it cools down the cabin really fast. You have wireless charging here, and you have this little shelf here for your cell phones or wallet. You have a type A USB socket as well as a 12-volt power socket, which has been converted into a type A, and 2 type C USBs here, 2 cup holders, and a manual mechanical parking brake, and this armrest here slides in and out. I really like what they have done with the upholstery also, and this two-tone touch is really classy. And since this is Rexine or artificial leather, you can really clean it very easily. The headrest is adjustable and it gives you a sense of a very French, very European, very premium kind of a design. The glove box here again closes with a soft reassurance, very well made, although this does not have cooling function. And I also quite like this satin silver finish underneath the main dashboard. The entire car, if you look at it, is finished in two-tone, and you have some really nice touches like, you know, this chrome on the AC vents. The AC vents themselves are quite sturdy, they are functional, and the AC really works very well. On the right hand side, you have the auto start stop off, you have the window lock off, and then you have this light adjustment and the controls for the ORVM. The steering is not adjustable for reach, it's adjustable only for rake, so it's not telescopic. Now, since there is no proximity sensor, there is no push button start on this car as well. And you also, as I mentioned, don't get a sunroof. The light here is quite basic, and you also don't get a vanity mirror here. The ORVM is manually adjustable, it's not electrochromatic. You get a vanity mirror on the passenger side, although it's not illuminated. Now, in terms of safety, this car gets 6 airbags as standard. It gets ESP, it gets hill hold assist, it also gets tire pressure monitoring system. So what Citroen have done is they have equipped this car with a lot of active safety features as standard, and also it comes with advanced high strength steel, and according to Citroen, they have tested it for crash tests which exceed the norms, and according to them, when this car is tested, it should come out with flying colors in terms of safety as well. Now, let's talk about a few missing features here. As I mentioned, it does not get a sunroof, it does not get ventilated seats, a 360-degree camera is missing, it does not get any ADAS features, but as I mentioned, it now doesn't have a problem with the basics. And unlike the C3, which had some functions missing, if you're looking for a value for money spacious car, and as you know, Citroen cars have some fantastic suspension systems, they are one of the most comfortable, it's very spacious, long wheelbase. So if you're looking for a value for money car, I really think the fit and finish is fantastic, and Citroen has the base covered very well this time around. Let's have a look at the back seat as well, where there are quite a few amazing things. And the entry and exit, just like the front, is ideal for any height. If you're getting inside the car from the front door or from the rear, the entry is super easy. And as you can see here, the headroom is quite sufficient for people who are up to 6 feet. More than that, it can be a bit of an issue, but I think up to 6 feet, it should not be a problem at all. Acres of leg room, great room for foot, as well as you have ample room as you have ample room underneath the front seat. You have these magazine holders. An amazing thing about this car seat is that you can adjust it for its angle here, and I really believe that based on your height, your angle with the floor changes, and this is going to be such a great feature to enhance your long distance journey comfort, because I can really feel it that if I'm not feeling very comfortable with the lack of thigh support, I can really adjust it with just a yank on this lever that I have. And this is such a unique and innovative feature that Citroen have introduced, and they might just introduce it on the C3 Aircross as well. Just like the front, you have hard plastics here, soft to touch material here, then you have one touch down window button here, and a piano black insert, space for a 1 liter water bottle, an AC vent, 2 type A USB sockets, flow control, and width which is sufficient to seat 3 abreast. Now, just like the front, the seat here is also very well cushioned. There is plenty of thigh support. Also, Citroen have now introduced these retractable handles for passengers. You also have this handle here up front. You have a light for the rear passengers, and as I mentioned, let me just move my position from the leftmost to the middle to the rightmost, and I'm pretty sure that if you're not too well built, you can seat 3 abreast without much problem in this car. Now, one thing that is missing is that you don't have an individual headrest for the third passenger. You have this armrest here with 2 cup holders and this space for your wallet or cell phone. Then you also have a proper 3-point seat belt for the middle passenger. You have ISOFIX child seat mounts. And I really believe that if you want a car which is really comfortable, because the suspension on this car rocks, it's an amazing car because there's ample legroom, the headroom is sufficient, and when it moves, because of its good noise insulation and fantastic suspension along with a very strong AC, you feel like you're seated in a car which is one of the most, if not the most comfortable in its class, which at this point in time does not exist. But nonetheless, this is a very, very spacious backbench, and you'd really love this car if you want comfort in the backbench. Finally, while the seat can be folded flat, it does not come with 60-40 split functionality. Alright, so we are behind the steering wheel of the all-new Basalt, and let's see what this baby with its 115 PS of power and 205 Newton meters of torque in the automatic version can do for us. The AC has been turned off. I have put the car in the manual mode where it will rev all the way to 5,800 RPM. Let's build some revs and let's go. Just shy of 6,000 RPM, 60, 70, 80. Now the journey to 100 will take a while and we are through. So as has been the case with the C3 as well as the C3 Aircross, this car has a lot of torque in the mid-range. Not just that, while you're driving it in the automatic, it also masks whatever little, very little turbo lag it has. This engine is pretty good. I must say this is one of the nicest turbo engines that you will drive. It has a lot of torque. It is, by the way, the most torquey in its class, and it really makes it very evident as you're driving it. Now, while it has a lot of power, a lot of torque, it feels sufficiently quick. The problem here is not the engine or the ride quality. The steering by itself doesn't feel very connected, and it's been the case with the C3 as well and the C3 Aircross also. I think that because of its bigger wheel size, the C3 Aircross was a slightly better car to drive. It had a slightly, very slightly better involving steering wheel. But again, here you feel that disconnect from the road, and while there is ample power, phenomenal torque, and the ride quality can gobble up the road and all the bad surfaces without a whimper, while you're going around corners, you do feel that the steering feels a little bit floaty. It doesn't give you a very good sense of what's happening underneath the wheels, and it's consistent with what we felt with the C3 and the Aircross as well. So if you're an enthusiastic driver, in a straight line, this car has plenty of power, great torque, and this engine does not resist being driven hard. However, if you want to be involved at the steering, it leaves something to be desired. It's a far cry from what you'd expect from a properly European car maker. And if you have an experience behind the steering wheel of, say, a Volkswagen or a Skoda for that matter, those steering wheels are more involving. But for everyday use, this car is sublime. The ride quality, let me just go off the road, is absolutely amazing. You can just take it off the road whenever you like. There is plenty of ground clearance, and the suspension system is absolutely amazing. It's one of the most comfortable suspension systems that you'll ever come across. And if ride quality is something that you're looking for, then the Basalt, just like the C3 Aircross, is phenomenal. It's really amazing, quite extraordinary, class-leading comfort, fantastic damping, and that exactly is where this car shines. Now, about the engine itself, I'll demonstrate to you that even at 1000 RPM, there is shove from the engine, and the automatic really masks whatever little turbo lag that you have. You may feel it a wee bit while you're driving the manual, but in the automatic it's almost absent, and it really feels really nice and convenient as you drive the automatic. Now, about the transmission itself, while it is a good transmission, it's not exactly sublime. Like, you cannot really compare it with, say, an ISIN transmission on the Scorpio or the XUV 700 or even the 6-speeder unit on the Volkswagens. This is a value for money car. This automatic transmission gets the job done, and at power throttle it works beautifully. Shifts gears rather imperceptibly, you would not even come to know of it. But as I'll demonstrate to you now, as you kick down, there is that wee bit of a delay before it drops a gear. Also, if I take it in the manual mode and if I shift a gear down or up, it takes that wee bit before it engages the desired gear. It's incomparably better than, say, an AMT. It's very smooth, puts you in the right gear, but just that there is that wee bit of a delay. And in comparison with more advanced and, might I add, more expensive transmissions, this falls just that wee bit short. So not the quickest, but for city, for highways, for everyday use, it's about perfect. There is absolutely no problem whatsoever. But the ride quality is amazing, and if you're someone who wants to be traveling around with your family, you are going to be astonished by how beautifully this car gobbles up everything that comes its way. The engine can become a little bit noisy over 3000 RPM, but I think for a 3-cylinder unit, the noise has been controlled rather well. For the operating range that you'll be using this car essentially for, between 1500 to 3000 RPM, I think the noise is pretty much under control. The ambient noise is very, very well controlled. Outside noise does not come in. The tire noise is also pretty well controlled. The tires offer you a decent amount of grip, and the overall body control is pretty good. There is, of course, body roll. It's oriented towards comfort, so it's not an out and out enthusiast's car, but for everyday use, it's about perfect. About the fuel efficiency, on the automatic, the claimed fuel efficiency is 18.7 kmpl, and in the real world you'll get about 11-12 kmpl within the city, and on the highway you'll get about 15 to 16 kmpl. The manual transmission will give you upwards of 19 kmpl on the turbo, and that's the ARI number, and on the NA that number is 18. That's the least of the lot. In the real world, the NA will give you a little less, and the manual will give you a little more than the automatic. All in all, a punchy engine, not the smoothest but reasonably smooth, very powerful in the mid-range, reasonable fuel efficiency, not the most fuel efficient, extremely comfortable, probably the most comfortable car that you'll come across within its segment, and a dependable set of 4 wheels, but not an out and out enthusiast's car. Now, while this car does not come with all 4 discs, you have discs up front and drums at the rear, the braking still is quite dependable. Now, since the prices of the car have not been announced, we really cannot put things in perspective or compare it with anything, because there's no other car in this segment in the mainstream, because you don't have a coupe SUV available for anything below 20 lakh rupees. The curve is coming, but it has not come yet. But based on what Citroen tells us and looking at some basic things, I really think that this is going to be placed a notch below the C3 Aircross, which has a longer wheelbase. It also comes with 7 seats. So the price of this car is going to be a little lower than the C3 Aircross, which by the way retails for 9 lakh rupees to about 13.5 to 14 lakh rupees. And if you reduce the price by some margin, I think the starting point for this car should be about 8.5 lakh rupees to about 12.5, 13 lakh rupees, which is going to be fantastic value for money, because there are a lot of people who are looking for a no-nonsense car which delivers on all the parameters that matter, and this car really delivers on all the parameters that matter, because it's good looking, it's spacious, it's loaded with all the features that are important, it's supremely comfortable and has decent fuel efficiency as well. And if it's launched at the price that I'm mentioning, I really think that you should go out and have a look at it. It might be missing some features, but it has all the basics covered, and you don't want to be making a purchase in the market if you're looking for a value for money car without having a test drive of this one. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about this car in this detailed review. Still, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section and I'll be very happy to answer them personally. If you like the video, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and until next time, this is your friend Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.